Doing the understructure alone is going to age your person about 10 to 15 years. Once you start adding fine wrinkles in and texturing, or what we call detailing, you begin to age your person a little bit more. We also do a trick in terms of creating texture to the skin. And in order to do that, we use our stipple sponge. And you remember we had those nice square ones that we cut in half and we made little microphones or ice cream cones out of. So you should have 2 of these. So we're going to use 3 colors always with our stipple sponge. We're going to use our highlight. We're going to use our first shadow. And you can either use a capillary color or a yellowy color on your old age. And what you're going to do is you're going to put the stipple sponge all over the makeup. And you're going to use that highlight maybe to break up some of those dark lines. So I'm kind of putting it everywhere, just straight in and out. Okay, and you can see already it's creating a little texture. And then I'm going to go to the side of the stipple sponge and I'm going to get some of that nice brown, that first brown. And if the first brown isn't reading, then go into the second brown. And again, I'm going to go sort of all over the face, the nose, and create texture on the face. Straight in and out. Now before you even do this, remember we want to make sure we test it on the hand and don't have any big chunks of color, because it's really hard to go in and fix a darker color on a face once we've done it. So you can see I've really starting to create some texture to this face. Look more like a farmer's wife. Instead of that smooth, milky skin you would see from someone who perhaps has more money to take care of her skin or doesn't go in the sun a lot. And then my third color today I'm going to choose is my capillary color from my wheel, and you have that as well. So we're going to go to another clean spot on our stipple sponge, and we're just tapping straight into the color. Tap it on your hand. Make sure you don't have any gobs of color. And we're going to kind of put it right where we didn't put some of the brown colors. And what this does is it's going to kind of help put some life back into the makeup. The other color you can use is a yellowy color, or I would mix a little yellow in with your foundation, and that would give the illusion of maybe liver damage. Okay, and I know it seems really dark and really light right now, doesn't it? But don't forget, this is a makeup that's got to read very far away, right? For the stage. And don't leave this area bare at the ear. You really want to make sure you've got the makeup all over so it doesn't look like a mask. Now the other thing you want to do is add some age spots, or what we call liver spots. And using your pencil, you can use your pencil to do that. And they're often different colors. Usually I tend to see 3. And they're not a round shape, they're different shapes. And those are the same things you see on your grandparents' hands. Right? But don't go crazy. We don't want it to look like you've got measles or anything. Okay. So you can see what this has done is sort of create a very textured effect to my face on this side, very weathered. And I'm still working in cream. I don't want to put anything powder-wise on my face until I powder my face with my neutral set powder. I'm going to use neutral set. A fair powder is going to change it. The fair has a little pink to it. Some of the banana powder is a little more yellow. Kind of depends on where you want to go with your old age person. I want to put on a couple more lines because I want to show you how to do your wrinkles on your lips, which can be very tricky. So we're going to start off with the highlight, and around the lip here, we're going to go up. And there's one here. You know, I don't think you can see this. And as we get to the center, it's going to go straight. And as we get to this side, it's going to curl around the this muscle, this orbicularis oris is what these little muscles are called around the mouth, which means round muscle, baby. Okay. And here comes the tricky part. It's the blending, remember, because highlights blend down and shadows blend up, right? So each one of these little highlights we want to blend down. So down on the upper lip is going toward the ear. And down on the lower lip is actually going toward the center of the face, or let's see, toward the nose. Now don't forget this has to start on the lip. You can't start above the lip. So again, we're going to blend the highlight down toward the ear on the upper lip. I always found these are the struggly ones. And down toward the nose, or the center of the face, on the bottom. Okay. And you might want to do this before you start texturing the face, because texture is going to help make these look more believable as well. Now once I've done that, I need to add in my brown, right? And that is going to go, if we blended the highlight down, the brown color is going to go right next to the hard edge of our highlight. And you might find it easier to draw your first shadow in and then put your highlights in below each line if you can't see as well with the highlight. And it's going to go around, around. And don't make them all the same size either. Some are longer, some are shorter. Okay. And the shadows are going to blend, which way? Anybody? They're going to blend up, right? So in this case, it's going to be on the upper lip up toward the nose. And each one of these would be considered a little cylinder. On this side, up toward the nose. Each shadow. And as we get to the lower shadows on the lower lip, they are going to blend, up toward the ear. So on the bottom lip, the shadows blend up toward the ear, just like these did out of the outer corners. Now you want to be careful too with these coming out of the outer corners. Don't make them too long, because if you make them long and they go down to here, you're going to look like you have a puppet mouth. So be careful of that. And then if I lose the shadow, I want to go back in with my dark color, and at the bottom, right between my highlight and my shadow, on that hard edge, I'm going to add my dark detail shadow, really thin. Really thin. And don't take it all the way out to the edge. Right between. So again, this might be a color you might have to do a couple times. Blend it, and then do it again. See, because we don't want it to look like a line, you want it to look like a shape. So the bottom blends up toward the ear, and the top, the shadow blends up toward the nose, and the highlight blends toward the ear. Okay. And then you would go over with your highlight, your shadow, and your third color, whether it's your pinky color. And I'm going to create a little more pinkness around the nose here. Your coral, I'm using my coral, or a light pink will work as well. And now I'm going to powder. So I have stacked my powder puff already with my powder. Remember how to stack it? We put it in a lot, and then we roll the powder into all the edges. And so I'm going to go in and start to powder. And in this case, I find if I start at the top, because I don't need to worry about making the face smooth. And then I'm going to go to the clean part of my powder puff. See, I put a lot of powder on that, huh? And I'm going to press and roll. And this is going to press the powder into my face. And the goal is to not get any makeup on the powder puff, but to have all the powder setting on the face. Now, some people like to just leave it and bake. That's our baking term, right? Because it is going to keep absorbing the powder for a little bit. So you could do that if you wanted. Just let it sit and then go back in and press and roll. And I do like to let it sit on the face for a little bit and absorb. Really get up around the eye. Right, we want this makeup to last at least 2.5 hours under the lights. And if they're heavy sweaters, you're probably going to need to go in and do a touch-up at intermission. So, I've got my powder on, let it bake, and then I'm going to take my powder brush and I'm going to dust off the excess powder. And this is going to continue to absorb. So once I've done that, notice that I have lost like 20% of the color. And again, it's still going to keep absorbing, and that's okay. But I can go in, if I need to pick up a color and make it a little darker with powders. Your eyeshadow powders will work very well. And go back over my shadows. I'll pick the shadows back up with my powders. Right? And this helps to pick the colors back up a little more. And I can also go in with a pinky color and put a little more color back into my face if I need to, right? Kind of put it over where you've got your medium browns. And it just sort of perks everything up. It makes it look a little more natural, right? Like a natural skin tone. And if I've lost any of my highlights, I can go into my powder bisque highlight and I can touch up my highlights as well. And that's that light eyeshadow color, bisque or shell color. So once this is all absorbed into my skin tone, and it will be, and I can still go in. And if you still think it looks too powdery, you know, you can always take a tissue and wrap your powder puff. And you can spritz it with a little water. Now you can also set your makeup with a product called Final Seal by Bemno. That's a great way to set it. And I'm going to just spritz it with a little water. Making sure it's water and not alcohol. And I've just kind of spritzed a little bit, and I'm just going to lightly go over. And what this will do too is it will actually help set the makeup, and it will take off any excess powder. There we are. Now you can see I have two different eyes. So you're going to be doing a whole thin face, and you're going to do a whole apple cheek on two makeups. And these are to help get you prepared to do your midterm, which was your midterm, but it will now be your final, practical final. And so with that practical final, you're going to be doing an old age. You're also going to need to do the neck and the hands. We're going to demo the hands another day. And you're going to need a design. And you're going to need a little story about your character. And I will try to help you along with picking a character. You can either choose a character from a book or a play, or if you're having trouble finding a character, I can help you with that too. We'll see you later.